Southwest Florida. Welcome back to Leap This Live. We're here at Williams Academy in the heart of the Dunbar community, a historic museum. This is the classroom of the segregated period in America when all blacks in Southwest Florida had to go to this school right here before integration. So we're sitting in Williams Academy in the heart of the African American community, Dunbar. If you're looking at us from around the world, we're in the city of Fort Myers, and we're in the southwest quadrant of the United States. And by now, you guys know that Fort Myers is on the map. We don't want to be on the map for such a tragedy, but certainly the name Fort Myers is gone all the way around the world right now. So this is the replica of the classroom. If you're ever in the area, come on and tour this museum, and in the future, we're looking to have a cultural center here. Leap This Live is a 31-year-old TV talk show. And I've been at the helm for 31 years, and I hope I don't look any worse for the wear. I've done a lot of TV shows, but never covered something like this, which is Hurricane Ian, once in every 500-year hurricane or something like that. Let's bump you in. I'll let y'all break that down. We heard the governor say 500 years. We have our fine mayor of the city of Fort Myers, Kevin Anderson, always been a friend of the show. And we're glad to get you here under not so good circumstances, but still great to get you here. And our close to 2 years now, city manager Martin Lawing is here as well. Not Martin Lawrence. You heard of Martin Lawrence, right? Okay, gentlemen, welcome to Leap This Live.
Good to be here.
Good to get both of you here. I know you're really busy, so let me go right to it. How much sleep are you guys averaging now? Are you doing your normal sleep, or your brain is working when you're sleeping, Mr. Mayor? Talk to me.
You know, Lee, honestly, I have been able to sleep really good for a couple of reasons. One, I was dog tired by the time I hit the pillow. And two, I was able to go to bed knowing that the city was in good shape with the emergency response team we had put together. I could sleep soundly knowing that they were on top of things.
And when you say in good shape, you mean relatively speaking?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And their ability to respond to what we were dealing with, we were in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we took a beating, no doubt about it. But the response, the relief effort that was put out there immediately by our emergency team was just A+.
Mr. City Manager Law, when you applied for this job less than 2 years ago, you probably, city managers deal with a lot of things that this couldn't. Is that like the world a city manager lives in, though, that you never know what could happen?
That's correct. I've worked on the coast of coastal regions of North and South Carolina, dealt with a lot of hurricanes.
Oh, okay.
Not a strong Category 4 though. So, but one thing you know, if you've managed in local government before and you're in a storm-prone area, that no two storms are the same. So, being that we're located where we are, I knew that was a possibility.
Talk about your sleep pattern now.
First 4 days or so, 1 or 2 hours. And then the last 4, maybe I'm getting about 4 or 5 hours, so it's getting a lot better.
Now, on a personal tip, were you guys, let's just start with your system there. Did your home fare well? Did your living conditions, were you affected like the average everyday person around here as well?
Home stood up fairly well. No damage to the home that I can see yet. I was without power for about 4 days, and I got water back yesterday.
Okay.
Same thing, we lost the power, water, internet, and it slowly came back on.
Right, so you guys dealing with everything just like everybody else, right? I just been trying to research it, but I haven't found out yet. How did Edison Estates fare in all of this?
I had talked to Mike Flinders, the director. Landscape obviously took a big beating. The structures themselves, the homes, he said they made out okay.
Really, those old homes? That's what we were
right
saying.
on the river.
Right, and we were talking about that off air. I want people to get the privilege of hearing us say that you have a great deal of respect for some of the way property was built in the old days, huh?
I think in those days, before government was telling them how to build the buildings, they built them with pride. And that's why we have so many older structures that have survived storm after storm after storm.
Mm-hmm. City manager, when you first got here, are you always, and when I say that to city manager, I'm talking to both of them, are you guys always thinking emergency possibilities? What could happen when you drive down and see Caloosahatchee River? or can you separate the great, beautiful Caloosahatchee River and just enjoying it at the moment from what could happen?
You always have to be aware that you know make sure your staff, your emergency management staff, public safety staff is ready. And we're lucky here. It didn't take me long to realize we have a really good professional staff, department directors, leaders, managers, and now we've had the storm. We've got a very storm savvy group, and they've made really good decisions.
Mm-hmm. Expound on that when you say emergency management staff. Who are those people?
Talking about right now, the way we're organized, emergency management is within the fire department. So our emergency manager reports to the fire chief, and they work closely with our police department under the direction of the police chief. So we're fortunate they work well together, they communicate well together, and it is crucial in a storm. And even with the professional teams we have in public safety, we have supplemental teams from other municipalities supplementing our police force and some of our other utilities crews, etc.
Mr. Mayor, how does the public, the city council and the mayor work with that group?
It's really simple. We set policy, and they deliver on it. So I always take the approach of I share my thoughts with the city manager. I don't hesitate to pick up the phone. He's always responsive. But when it comes down to it, I have to put my trust and my confidence. He's the professional city manager. He's got his staff trained and prepared, and I step back and let them do their job.
Is our city, I'm coming back to Hurricane Ian, our city as a going concern, we're still functioning at the normal level, like running the city? You got Ian over here, and you still got to run the city. How does that work?
We are back up 100% with staffing. You might have some people taking some time off. Garbage was picked up this week, the solid waste, the debris being picked up. Police and fire, they're out there in their job. All sections of the city is functioning.
Talk about the prioritizing of what was important. I say was, but it's an ongoing thing. This is October 7th that we're taping this. I'm going to go to Mr. City Manager. What was important and how you prioritize where you put your energies. I say that to say, if we hear, some people may say, our community got neglected, they're not looking over here at us. Tell us how you went about that process.
We did a lot of things concurrently, but the priority number one is the safety of the public. Is everybody safe? Human life, that type of thing. Then we look at our basic infrastructure. Is the water system running or not? What problems are we having? Wastewater plants running, sewer, are there overflows, etc. Anytime you have a storm with this much rain, etc., you're going to have issues at wastewater plants, water plants, etc. And then we start worrying about our own employees. Are they going to be able to respond? Are they here? Did they have damage to their homes, etc.? And then we look at coordinating closely with the county. Lee County has a very robust emergency management program, and so we try to communicate closely with them, coordinate closely on what we're going to do, what they're going to do. Can we match that up? So it's been a seamless process, but we were closed for several days. And when you say a municipality closes, we really don't close, because all the police are working, all the fire personnel, the water plant operators, wastewater operators, etc. So we were still functioning throughout the storm.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Mayor, I will never forget this as this become, in the history books and all those types of things, watching you on television. And one of the things you said that, hey, I'm sitting in my office and I know where your office is located. I'm looking at the Caloosahatchee River and there's nothing I can do as it's rising. I want my audience to hear that how you saw that. You were just sitting there looking out the window, right?
Watching the water rise. And I was gauging it against a FedEx box. And just watching that water almost...
A FedEx box across the street?
A drop box, yeah.
Really?
And the water got up, the box I was watching, the water got up to about an inch of covering it. That was in the front half of the storm. And my concern was that we would get even more water during the back half. And I'm thinking, if the water's that high, it's going to be double at least. And don't know why, but when the eye passed, the water started to to go away. So it was a really eerie feeling to just stand there and say, downtown's getting flooded and I can't do a thing about it.
Mhm. That's the biggest problem with downtown was the water, right?
Yeah.
Who are those people there now? It's like I'm seeing things happening so fast. Are they all local, or you got a whole lot of fed people go into these villages too?
So let me say right off the bat, when the storm passed, by midnight, 1 o'clock Thursday morning, the owner of Downtown House of Pizza was in there cleaning his place up so that he could open up Thursday knowing that people were going to be looking for food.
Really?
Yes, that quick he was open, and then you saw that spread with some other locations. Now we have people in from all over, help. You got local people, you got people from across the state, all the resources for them.
You have literally been going into all the communities. Tell me, what does that do? Why is that so important to you that everybody sees you as a leader in the city, that you're in those communities checking on people, Dunbar, all the communities, all diverse communities?
I think it's important to connect with people and hear firsthand what they're dealing with, what their needs are, how they survive. And I think it's important to show them that their city, at all levels, is working for them.
Mm-hmm. Where are we now? I remember, I'm just off the top of my head, Mr. City Manager, I remember there was some, just reading about, I don't know, I might not use the right word, but, the city needed to do something with its pumps, the different pumps, we're upgrading these pumps. Am I using the right terminology? Did those pumps matter in this case, or did the lack of pumps affect the way the flooding process went?
Well,
what pumps am I talking about?
Well, I'll tell you, it's two primary sets of pumps, and that's the pumps at our wells. Our water treatment plant, the source water is groundwater. So we have about 16 deep wells, about 700 feet deep, that we draw raw water, and pump it to the water treatment plant for treatment. So those, we need to keep those wells running at all times because we're marginal as far as we having.
Those are stationed around the city, right?
And what we call our well field, most of them are out fairly close proximity to the water treatment plant.
Okay.
So we have backup generation for those that lose power. Unfortunately, we didn't have backup generation for all of our stations, but as of yesterday at 5, we do now. Mm-hmm. So, and it'll be there on a permanent basis. So if we like to control our own destiny. We don't want somebody to run into a power pole, knock the power out, and then we're not able to pump water. Mm-hmm. So we've got generators in place now, so that would not be a problem if something like that happened in the future, not even considering a storm. And then the other main pumps we have are on our sewer lift stations or pump stations. The gravity sewer flows to a low spot where you construct a pump station, and it pumps it to a higher spot, and it eventually gets the wastewater to the plant. And because pump stations are usually intended to be constructed in a low area, sometimes they can take on water or flood during a storm. So we have over 200 lift stations in the city, and we had about 24 generators to work with until we ordered more through the EOC. We probably got up to 40 or 50 generators, and we're moving those around from pump station to pump those down when the water got high. And we also had bypass pumps. So, and then we have generators at our water treatment plant and wastewater treatment plants too. So very crucial when the power's out.
What did we learn in terms of our infrastructure in that particular area as a result? I mean, this is a we never know when this type of thing can happen again, but something of this magnitude just overpowers all of that, wouldn't it?
It can. Wastewater treatment plants you generally are not designed to handle that kind of inflow during a storm like this. But we had some challenges with our water system and before the storm. So this just exacerbated those issues for a short period of time until we're able to get the power back and get the system stabilized. And as of yesterday, we have all of our customers that have water service now.
Really?
Yes.
As of yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on electric, we're in the 80% percentile?
No, we're in the 90.
Now?
Probably a high 90s right now, yes.
Okay, that's pretty fast.
If you're the one waiting for water or electricity,
okay.
it's slow. But understanding the disruption that was dealt to those two grids, the utility, the water, and the electricity, I feel pretty good that they're both up to the
Now,
levels
the
they
city
are.
of Fort Myers is its own city, right? In the body of Lee County. I think you even mentioned about the partnership there too. The fact that the city of Fort Myers has its own government, its own everything, do you think that played a role in the rapid turnaround and getting back to stability, a little bit of stability, as opposed to the whole big county?
I think there's a couple of factors there. The size of the city versus the size of the county.
Okay.
And also the magnitude of the destruction that was dealt. Areas, the beach, the Barrier Islands, even Cape Coral, they seem to have taken a much greater beating than the city of Fort Myers did. So there, like I said, there's a combination of things that helped us get back quick.
I heard you say something about the ordinance in terms of rebuilding and what types of materials or different hurricane-proof things. That was not in place prior to Hurricane Ian. So now when people pull permits, they're gonna have to build to a certain code?
Actually, they've been building to that code since Hurricane Andrew.
Okay.
You could see structures that were built prior to Andrew and the ones built after Andrew, and there's been upgrades since then as well. Those structures tend to hold up just like the older structures we talked about earlier. But the newer construction definitely withstands the storms a lot better.
Now, going to you, city manager, it seems like you essentially are like the quarterback, the head coach, kind of the quarterback in a lot of things. I mean, you seem like you almost like become sort of like a semi-expert in all of these things at one time. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you have experts who are briefing you, and then who's making the final decisions on things like that?
Oh, storm response, etc. We operate somewhat like a team.
Okay.
We get the experts in, the directors that may know the most about an issue, and then we consider all the facts and data, and then make the best decision. If there's not 100% agreement on the direction we go, usually that falls to me to make the final call. But usually we work as a team, and usually we try to make good decisions, the best decisions, and with the best data we can get. So usually it's not hard to reach consensus on those types of
As
things.
of today in the city of Fort Myers, am I correct to say that there were no known fatalities that we know of as a result of Hurricane Ian?
We have not had any reported as of today.
Do you think something may come?
You
Never know,
I think that the emergency response team, under the direction of the fire chief, they went out, they did their door-to-doors. I'm comfortable they did a very thorough job. So unless there's just something really out there, I feel comfortable that we survived.
Mhm. What is the city downtown going to look like 5 years from now? Will we be back to the beauty and all of that, you think?
It's going to be a lot quicker than 5
5
years,
years?
I believe. If you go down there right now, there's so much activity of the people working to restore their businesses. I looked out the window the other day and said to my wife, wow, it doesn't even look like anything happened. There's so many people downtown.
Really? Oh, I gotta take a ride.
Yeah.
You were shaking your head on that. You want to add to that?
I was thinking the same thing. We'll be back to normal fairly soon, and
Normal.
to what it was last month.
Okay, really?
What it looked like last month, fairly soon, and then you said 5 years from now, I think it'll be a lot better. There are a lot of things in the works as far as development projects. The city's working with negotiating with a potential developer to redevelop our yacht basin. So there's some exciting things that are on the horizon for downtown. So 5 years is a long time.
Okay.
So I think it'll
You
look.
guys kind of like gave you a heart attack when I said 5 years. I thought I was like being general.
Yeah.
5 years, right? That's,
Landscaping, obviously,
but in my
takes time to
head,
mature.
but in my head, I'm still thinking county stuff. I gotta always train myself back to the city. It didn't get it as bad, right?
We lost some homes along the road.
Mhm.
And they will obviously take a little bit longer to come get constructed. But as far as the downtown area where the flooding occurred there, within a year,
Let's talk about the money. FEMA money, hearing all this money. We saw the president here. I don't know if you get a photo out, y'all. Just seen some pictures. But is it going to be easy access to that money, and how does all of that work for businesses and individuals? Go.
well, it's, you know, it's the government, and it's a process, and sometimes it can be cumbersome and move slow. But I can tell you, I've had conversations with the president, the governor, both our senators' offices, Congressman Donalds, and they all assured me that they're going to work hard to make sure this community gets what it needs as quickly as possible.
What do we learn about our hurricane shelters? Do we have enough? Do we need more? Go.
I think we had enough. I think they started out with about 15, and after a few days they were consolidating down to, I think they went to 8, to 6, and now they're down to 2 general population shelters.
Where are all these workers staying now? I got kicked out of my hotel room. What's going on, man? Does the government can say, hey, how's all that going?
Well, you know, a lot of hotels have contracts with
Okay.
the government for this reason.
Okay,
So,
emergency?
yes.
Emergency.
Right. So there are base camps, so to speak, set up, I think, out at the Civic Center.
Okay.
I know Tico has one set up out there at the RV place at Luckett and 75. So there's places like that where they bring in the trailers, portable showers, the porta potties, everything you need to give these people a place to kind of lay their heads and read.
When do you see traffic slowing down?
I don't know.
Loosening up, not as much congestion.
There's a lot of traffic, and it's people that are out looking for assistance. There are people here looking to assist others. There are contractors. I think there's some just onlookers. Maybe got off 75 and said, let's go and see how bad Fort Myers got hit. And there's just local residents trying to get back to normal business, et cetera. And so it's probably not within the next 30 days or so. It's going to be a lot of people
I
here.
think you said 100% lights are on.
No, we're in the high 90s in
Okay.
the city.
When you say light, does that include traffic lights?
No, there's some intersections, the lights were torn down, and it's not a matter of not having power, it's a matter of the actual lights themselves having to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to take a little bit of time.
Major construction that was already on the way. Did we have anything major that was on the way being constructed, like hotels downtown, things like that might have gotten torn up and got set back?
We do have one hotel under construction downtown, and I've driven by it and it looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it should open hopefully first quarter of next year.
Mm-hmm. The Dunbar community, let's just say Dunbar, East Fort Myers. What do you think about the service that is being provided to people in those particular categories?
I feel very good about it. As we talked, I walked neighborhoods, I talked with people, I drove through different neighborhoods as well, and things are happening. First of all, the people are very resilient. I mean, to see them out there the day after the storm, they're cleaning their yards and pulling those houses that were flooded, they're cleaning them out and putting all this stuff to the curb. And now that we've got the water back up, the roads were opened up almost, within 48 hours, if not sooner, which I think that's a big thing to happen, so that people can see they can move about safely.
Mm-hmm. People will be getting reimbursed. Is that the way that worked, Mr. City Manager? FEMA would reimburse certain costs, or is that everything is reimbursable now, repairs?
There's a lot of different situations, depending on whether they had insurance coverage or not. But that's the thing that citizens need to be looking out for. The DRC, the Disaster Recovery Centers, have been opened up by FEMA. There's one primary center in the county, and there'll be smaller ones set up around the county. We'll probably have at least 2 or more in the city. Mm-hmm. And that's where they go to fill out the paperwork, report their damages and losses, and get that process started for what's known as IA, individual assistance. And then the city and other cities in the county will submit requests for reimbursements for PA, or public assistance, for damage that we sustained to city facilities.
Is it fair to go the city's website at the epicenter where people can go stay,
Yes,
get all things?
city will have information on there about how to find the FEMA centers.
Mr. Mayor, I had the Michelle Hilton Terry, Executive Director, City of Fort Myers Community Redevelopment Agency, in here this morning. She mentioned many times that you're chair of that board and so on and so forth. The CRA will play a critical role in a lot of things as we go back to revitalizing our communities.
Any development that's going to occur within those CRA districts, they're certainly eligible, and we encourage to apply for those tax incentives.
Okay.
So yes, CRA can play a very big part.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I want you to take a look into that camera. 30 seconds. Talk to the people.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the people of Fort Myers. Thank you to those of you who planned for this storm. If you planned, you don't have to panic. And also thank you to those who, after the storm occurred, they knew enough not to go out and about, because this way they weren't out there getting in the way of those recovery services. I think the people have been very supportive, and I just want to say to them, you've got my absolute promise that the city is doing everything we can to help get this recovery up and running and get everyone back to where they were.
Mr. City Manager.
And I'll echo what the mayor said, but also add that you have a very large group of dedicated city employees that are working long hours to get the city back to normal as quickly as we can and as safely as we can.
Mr. Mayor, will the election process, I know you're running for re-election, will that happen as normally scheduled programming?
That's an important process that's not going to be stopped by a storm like this.
Okay, November 8th.
Yes.
And early voting will start and mailing and all that. So y'all get up to speed on that with the election office. I want to thank both of you for coming out. Let me bump you out, and hopefully we can get the city manager on record. Miami may have the oranges, but the city of Fort Myers got the
Palms.
The juice. But we do have the bombs.
All right, so it's the juice. Okay, let's try it again. Miami may have the oranges, but the city of Fort Myers got the
Juice.
We got the juice. I got the city manager on record. I've been having the mayor on record. We'll be right back.
I should have won.